London never truly slept. Beneath the hum of streetlights and distant sirens, the city pulsed like a living organism, restless, impatient, always pushing forward. For Arjan Singh, however, the rhythm had become unbearable. He sat in his compact East London apartment, hunched over his laptop, the cold blue glow washing over his tired face. Emails blinked unread. Deadlines loomed. His phone buzzed non-stop, group chats, notifications, reminders. But none of it reached him anymore. It all felt hollow. Arjan was 29. A promising graphic designer. Educated. Employed. Surrounded by people. And completely, utterly lost. He rubbed his temples and leaned back. His mind swirled with fragments of thoughts, unfinished projects, a strained breakup, rising rent, his mother's voice reminding him to do your path, and a strange, aching silence beneath it all. He used to feel something, purpose, even pride about his Sikh identity. But life got busy. His turban slowly turned into a man bun. Nitnam became background noise. And now, even when he sat in a gurdwara during festivals, it felt like he was watching someone else's faith play out. Tonight was worse than usual. The walls of his flat seemed to close in, each email notification like a siren echoing in his skull. He couldn't breathe. The noise outside fused with the noise within. And then it hit. A sudden pressure in his chest. His vision blurred. His hands trembled. He stumbled to the sink, splashing water on his face. The cold bite of it did little. His heart raced like it was trying to escape his ribs. Waheguru. Waheguru, he whispered out of instinct. The words came cracked, unfamiliar, but they were the only ones he remembered that didn't come from a screen. After minutes, maybe an hour, he collapsed onto the sofa, clutching the mala beads his mother had left during her last visit. He hadn't used them once. Not really. But he held them now like a child clings to an old blanket in a storm. 2 days later, after calling in sick and skipping 3 Zoom meetings, Arjan stood on the doorstep of his Nanaji's house, his maternal grandfather. A quiet corner in Southall, where time moved slower, and the air smelled faintly of cardamom and incense. Nanaji opened the door with his ever-warm eyes and a well-worn kurta. "You look like you've been wrestling with ghosts," he said softly. "Maybe I have," Arjan replied. Over steaming cups of cha and the faint hum of ragasa playing on a radio in the kitchen, Arjan finally let his guard down. He told his grandfather about the panic attack, the emptiness, the noise, and the numbness. "I don't even know who I am anymore," he admitted. "I feel cut off. Like there's a layer between me and everything. Even myself." Nanaji listened without judgment, stirring his tea slowly. "Beta," he said after a pause, "you are not the first to feel this. This world spins too fast. But your soul? It remembers. That's why you feel the ache." Arjan looked up. "My soul remembers what?" "Waheguru Simran." The sound of the name. Arjan frowned. "I've heard about Simran since I was a kid. But I never understood it. Chanting a word over and over, how does that help anything?" Nanaji smiled. "Simran is not repetition. It's remembrance. When a child calls for their mother, it's not about the word ma. It's about the longing behind it. Simran is the soul calling home." Those words stayed with Arjan all evening. That night, in the quiet room his Nana had prepared for him, he found a book beside the bed, the Japji Sahib, A Journey Within. Handwritten notes in Gurmukhi danced in the margins. He opened to a bookmarked page. Manjitai, Jagjit. Conquer the mind, and you conquer the world. Arjan stared at the line, the hum of those ancient syllables vibrating in a place deeper than language. For the first time in years, he felt still. The next morning, Nanaji handed Arjan a single envelope. Go to Amritsar, he said simply. What? Why? Because that's where you'll begin hearing again. Not with your ears but with your heart. Go to the Golden Temple. Sit by the Sarovar. And listen. Arjan hesitated. Listen to what? Yourself. There was no dramatic revelation. No thunderclap. Just silence, and in that silence, something moved. He left a week later. On the flight to India, Arjan watched the city lights below fade into clouds, then stars, then dawn. He tried to read, to scroll, to distract himself, but nothing held him. So he closed his eyes, placed his hand over the mala beads in his pocket, and whispered tentatively, Waheguru. And for a fleeting second, it didn't feel foreign. It felt like a door had opened. The airplane wheels touched Indian soil with a lurch. As the engines whined down, Arjan's heart sped up. There was no fanfare, no great homecoming. Just a soft breath heavy with uncertainty and something else he couldn't name. Stepping out into Amritsar, he was hit by a wall of dry heat, honking traffic, and the scent of spice, dust, and incense carried by 1,000 lives moving at once. Yet amidst the chaos, something familiar lingered like a forgotten melody returning after years of silence. He checked into a modest guest house near Guru Ram Das Sarai, not far from the Golden Temple. His room was simple, just a bed, a fan, and an old wooden table bearing a jug of water and a small portrait of Guru Nanak. For the first time in a long time, Arjan didn't reach for Wi-Fi. He sat by the window, watching pilgrims walking barefoot, faces glowing with something he couldn't explain. Some were singing softly. Some were weeping. Some just walked in silence. Something stirred in him. At dusk, he made his way to Sri Harmandir Sahib. The walk was quiet. He followed a slow-moving line of devotees through the marble archway. And then he saw it. The Golden Temple rose from the waters like a vision, its golden dome shimmering in the reflection of the Amrit Sarovar beneath a deepening purple sky. The air was filled with the gentle, melodic recitation of Asa Devar, flowing through speakers like a river of light. Arjan stood frozen. He had seen pictures before. He had even visited as a child. But this was different. Now, it wasn't just a place. It felt like a presence. He removed his shoes, covered his head, and stepped barefoot onto the marble pathway. Each step echoed within him. The curtain stirred something he had buried, an ancient part of him, silent for too long. He walked around the parikrama slowly, finally sitting at the water's edge. The cool marble beneath him, the breeze brushing his cheeks, the music, the name, it all dissolved the noise within. For a long while, he simply sat, tears flowing quietly, without knowing why. He met Baba Harnam Singh the next morning, under the shade of an old neem tree near the back courtyard of the Gurdwara. An old man with a flowing white beard, deep eyes, and a turban so gracefully tied it looked sculpted. He sat on a mat, legs folded, mala in hand, whispering Waheguru with every breath. Arjan had only paused to look when Baba Harnam opened one eye and smiled. You have questions, the Baba said without introduction. Arjan blinked. How do you know? Because I can hear your silence. The old man patted the space beside him. Arjan sat, unsure what to say. I've been here since before your father was born, Baba said. and still I learn something new every day. That's the power of the Naam. I've heard the word Simran all my life, Arjan said. But I don't know what it truly means. Everyone says to do it, but no one says how. Or why. The old Baba nodded. That's because Simran is not something to explain. It is something to experience. That evening, they met again by the Sarovar. The sun cast golden streaks across the still water, and Baba Har Nam began. Simran, my child, is remembrance. Not of a place. Not of a person. But of your essence. Arjan looked down at his hands. My essence feels lost. You are not lost, the Baba said gently. You are just covered. Like the sky on a cloudy day. The light is still there behind the noise. He handed Arjan a small wooden mala. Take this. Sit. Close your eyes. Breathe. And say Waheguru with your breath. Not from the lips. From the heart. Arjan did as he was told. At first, it felt awkward. Empty. Just a word echoing in the cavern of his skull. But then he noticed his breath. Inhale, Wahi. Exhale, Guru. Like a rhythm older than thought itself. No visions. No miracles. Just silence. And within that silence, a strange fullness. The next day, Arjan returned with curiosity burning in him. I don't understand, he said. Is Simran just repetition? Meditation? A mantra? Baba Har Nam smiled. Tell me, when you miss someone deeply, do you call their name once or over and over? Over and over, Arjan replied. That is Simran. Not repetition from duty. But remembrance from love. The old man's eyes glistened. The gurus didn't want us to escape the world. They wanted us to see the divine within it. Simran is not about silence. It's about awakening. Arjan felt something crack open inside. For years, he had looked for peace by escaping, numbing, avoiding. But what if peace wasn't absence? What if peace was presence? That night, Arjan sat again beside the water. This time, the words didn't feel like words. They felt like music from within. Waheguru. It was as if the sound did not rise from his mouth, but from the space behind his thoughts. For the first time, he wasn't doing Simran. He was being in Simran. No expectations. No performance. Just being. The following morning, Arjan awoke before sunrise and joined the early Sangat in the Gurdwara. The air was heavy with rag and silence. Even the walls seemed to vibrate with sacred sound. During Japji Sahib, he felt each line like a heartbeat. Sunai I Saras Go Nakega. By listening, one gains the treasure of virtue. He didn't fully understand the meanings. But the vibrations pierced deeper than language. Later, as he walked through the Langar hall, helping serve dal and roti to travelers, he realized something. He had smiled. Not out of politeness. But peace. His heart, once a restless drum beat, now moved like a river quiet, flowing, deep. Mornings in Amritsar began before the sun. The stillness before the first arti, the cool marble underfoot, the hush of early footsteps heading toward the sanctum, it all wrapped Arjan in a kind of timeless cocoon. For the first time in years, his mornings weren't filled with emails, alarms, or scrolling. They began with breath. With the name. Waheguru. With each passing day, Simran was less an action and more a space he entered. A space within. But it wasn't easy. On the 7th day of his stay, Arjan awoke later than usual. The stillness was gone. Thoughts rushed in like a flood, memories of London, guilt over work emails, flashes of past relationships, the ever-familiar inner voice whispering, "What are you even doing here?" He tried to meditate, but the name felt dry, forced. He opened his eyes and sighed. Just then, a voice beside him, "Did you expect your mind to bow so easily?" It was Baba Har Nam again, walking barefoot with his wooden cane. "The mind," Baba continued, "is like a wild horse. If it never knew stillness, it won't gallop toward it. It'll fight, run, pull you into every shadow. So I'm doing it wrong." "No," Baba said, eyes twinkling. "You're doing it right. The very resistance is proof that you've begun." They walked together in silence for a while. "The ego hates silence," Baba said. "Because in silence, it dies." Later that afternoon, under the neem tree, Baba Har Nam picked up a stone and dropped it into a bowl of water. Ripples danced across the surface. "This," he said, "is Nam." Arjan frowned. "A ripple. A vibration." Baba pointed to his heart. "Nam is not a syllable. It is the pulse of the divine vibrating in all creation. The Gurus gave us the word Waheguru not because it's magic, but because it aligns us with that vibration." Arjan stared at the bowl. "So when I chant it, you remember that you are already part of something eternal. You don't call the divine. You reveal it within." That night, when Arjan sat by the Sarovar, something clicked. He closed his eyes and instead of saying the name, he listened to it. Waheguru. Not just in his breath but in the rustle of leaves, in the chant of Sangat, in the gentle splash of water. Every sound was a reflection of one sound. Days passed. Some meditations felt deep like sinking into stars. Others were messy, scattered, frustrating. One day, after a particularly restless sitting, Arjan confessed, "I don't think I'm cut out for Simran. My mind keeps chasing everything: memories, fears, thoughts of home." Baba Har Nam handed him a small mirror. "Look into this," he said. Arjan did. "What do you see?" "Me." "Now breathe on it." Arjan exhaled. The mirror fogged. "And now?" "Nothing," Arjan replied. "Just mist." "That," Baba said, "is Maya. The fog that covers truth. The mind believes the fog is real. But when you practice Simran with love and patience, the fog clears. You don't create clarity. You reveal it." Arjan nodded slowly. "So Simran isn't about adding anything. It's about removing what isn't real." "Exactly." One afternoon, Baba took Arjan to a small room behind the Gurdwara, a kind of dusty library filled with old scriptures and handwritten journals. There, he showed him a translation of Bhai Gurdas Ji's Varan. Together they read, "Simran is the bridge between the soul and Waheguru. It is the light that shines when the lamp of the mind is lit." Arjan paused. "But why is it so hard to keep that light on?" "Because the ego keeps turning the wick away from the flame," Baba chuckled. "It whispers, 'You are separate.' But through Simran, you remember, you are not." He looked directly at Arjan. "You are not here to become spiritual. You already are. You are here to realize it." That night, Arjan sat longer than usual by the water. For an hour, nothing came. Then, a quiet weeping. Not from outside but inside. He didn't know why he was crying. only that the tears felt like they were releasing something buried deep, years of denial, anxiety, shame, and disconnection. All melting in the embrace of the name. He whispered, "Waheguru." And for the first time, it didn't feel like he was calling out. It felt like he was answering a call that had always been there. The next morning, Baba Harnam met him again. "You've tasted it now," he said. "But this is only the beginning. What happens next? You keep walking. With love. With longing. With Simran not just on your lips but in your life." Arjan asked, "What if I fall again?" "You will," Baba smiled. "Many times. But each time, Simran will carry you back. That's its power." They stood together, watching the sun rise over the golden temple. The birds flew in spirals above, the curtain filled the air like golden thread, and inside Arjan's chest, a quiet hum never stopped. He didn't understand everything yet. But he understood this. He was no longer running. He was returning. Time had shifted. Days no longer felt like a rush of clocks and checklists. They moved like rivers flowing quietly, steadily around the rhythm of Arjan's breath and Simran. Waheguru. It now beat beneath everything. He had been in Amritsar for a little over 4 weeks. And something fundamental had changed. Not outside. Inside. One afternoon, while helping prepare langar, a boy spilled a pot of water across the marble floor. It splashed Arjan's feet and soaked his trousers. The boy flinched, clearly expecting to be scolded. But Arjan smiled. "It's just water," he said softly, kneeling to help him clean. He didn't notice at first. But later that evening, he realized the old Arjan would have snapped. He would have barked, then regretted it for hours. But now, a different current flowed within. He told Baba Harnam about it that night. Baba smiled and said, "That's Simran at work. It doesn't change the world. It changes how you see the world." One early morning, Arjan walked the parikrama before sunrise. The temple lights shimmered on the water, the sky a soft shade of indigo. As he passed an old janitor sweeping the marble floor, something struck him. He stopped. The man was whispering Waheguru with every stroke of the broom. Not loudly, not performatively. Just, naturally. Like breathing. Arjan's heart thudded. In that moment, he didn't see a janitor. He saw presence. He saw devotion. He saw Waheguru. That day, as he walked through Amritsar, he began seeing glimpses of the divine in the fruit vendor, the young boy carrying bricks, the grandmother reciting path beneath a tree. Where before he saw roles, now he saw radiance. And with it came a thought. We don't need to escape the world to find God. We just need to look deeply enough into it. One evening, as he returned from evening curtain, the innkeeper handed Arjan an envelope. It was a letter from his mother in London. "Son, it's been weeks. We miss you. I don't understand what you're searching for there, but I hope you find it. Your father doesn't say much, but I know he's worried. Come home when your heart tells you to. Just promise you won't stay lost too long." For the first time in weeks, Arjan felt the tug of his past life. The pressure of expectations. The life he had left behind. But now, he didn't feel guilt. Or anxiety. He felt clarity. He folded the letter and placed it near his mala. He whispered, "Soon." That night, Arjan sat near the Sarovar, a quiet wind brushing his shoulders. He had begun doing Simran without a timer, without a goal. Just sitting. Just being. No fireworks. No visions. Just stillness. And yet, within that stillness, a kind of joy had taken root. Not the joy of excitement. The joy of enoughness. For years, he had chased happiness in noise, in promotions, relationships, recognition. But this was different. It was like being home inside his own breath. A few days later, as the orange of dawn lit up the city, Baba Harnam handed Arjan a handwritten line from Guru Arjan Dev Ji. Samar 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 Sukh Pabhau. By meditating in remembrance, I find peace. Your journey now, Baba said, is to carry the Simran into the marketplace, into the metro, into your career, your family, your arguments, your meals. That is the real test, not how still you sit here, but how still you stay there. Arjan nodded. He understood. Simran wasn't meant for escape. It was meant for integration. On his last night in Amritsar, Arjan sat at the edge of the Sarovar. The Harmandir Sahib shimmered like gold afloat in the soul's ocean. He closed his eyes and whispered, Waheguru. He wasn't afraid to leave. He wasn't afraid of returning to noise. Because he now carried silence inside. 2 weeks later, Arjan was back in London. He returned to his flat, took a deep breath, and nothing felt the same. But this time, that was a gift. He didn't throw away his phone. He didn't quit his job. He didn't become a monk. He simply woke early the next day, sat cross-legged in his small bedroom, lit a candle, and began again. Waheguru. And in that moment his bedroom became a Gurdwara. The city outside became a sacred song. And he became the listener. The airplane touched down at Heathrow with a familiar jolt. But Arjan felt different. Not just rested. Not just inspired. Transformed. He stepped onto the tarmac, feeling the weight of the city, its chaos, concrete, and cold logic press in around him. And yet, beneath it all, his breath whispered gently. Waheguru. Back at his flat, the fridge hummed. The lights buzzed faintly. His phone exploded with notifications, work emails, reminders, unread messages from friends. He sat down. Closed his eyes. Let the noise pass. Waheguru. No Gurdwara. No Sarovar. But the stillness came anyway. Simran had followed him home. The next morning, Arjan returned to his consultancy firm. His manager, Priya, looked surprised. You look calm, she said, half curious, half suspicious. Did you find what you were looking for? Arjan smiled. Yes. He wasn't in a rush anymore. He wasn't hunting the next win. He worked with focus, but without pressure. He listened more. Reacted less. During breaks, he'd sit on a bench in the company garden and silently repeat the name. At first, people didn't notice. Then, they did. One afternoon, his colleague, James, found him in the break room. You've changed, James said. You don't bite people's heads off anymore. Arjan laughed. That bad, huh? No, seriously, James leaned in. What happened in India? Arjan paused. I learned how to be still. And how to listen. To what? To the sound beneath all sounds. James blinked. Like meditation. Arjan nodded. Something like that. But more than technique, it's a remembering. They spoke for 20 minutes. The next week, James asked, "Mind if I join you during your lunch break?" Within a few weeks, Arjan started a small online group Naam in the Noise for professionals interested in Simran. Every Sunday, they gathered on Zoom. Not just Sikhs. A Buddhist coder from Berlin. A Muslim schoolteacher from Toronto. A secular journalist from New York. Arjan didn't preach. He just shared his experience. Sometimes they'd chant Waheguru together for 10 minutes. Other times, they sat in silence. Sometimes, they just talked. It was messy. It was raw. It was real. And it was Sangat. Arjan began a quiet experiment. Could he live every moment with Simran without escaping his world? While brushing his teeth, Waheguru. During difficult emails, Waheguru. While standing in line at the store, Waheguru. Even during conflict with his parents, with friends, with himself. The results weren't perfect. But they were powerful. One evening, after a heated disagreement with his father about religion, Arjan didn't slam the door or storm out. He sat. He breathed. He whispered, "Waheguru." And when he spoke again, his words came not from the ego but from clarity. His father listened. A few months later, Arjan was invited to speak at a youth Sikh camp in Birmingham. He hesitated at first. "I'm no preacher," he told Baba Harnam over a video call. Baba smiled. "You don't need to preach. Just be." So he did. He told the youth about stress, anxiety, success, failure, and how Simran wasn't an escape from life, but the light inside it. He shared how it helped him face dark days, confusion, even heartbreak, not by avoiding pain, but by moving through it. Afterward, a teenage girl approached him with tears in her eyes. "No one ever told me Simran could feel like home." A year passed. Arjan no longer measured his success by paychecks or promotions. He measured it by presence. He still worked. Still had struggles. Still forgot sometimes. But each time he remembered, he came back. To the breath. To the sound. To the self. To Waheguru. One night, Arjan sat by his window, London lights blinking outside like scattered stars. He pulled out his journal and wrote. To the Arjan 5 years from now. If you're reading this, I hope you're still breathing the name. I hope you haven't lost yourself again in deadlines and doubt. But if you have, that's okay. Just sit. Just listen. The sound never left you. You only need to remember. In the end, Arjan realized. Simran wasn't about changing the world. It was about changing how you saw it. It was about remembering that even in the noise Naam is humming. Even in the mess the divine is dancing. Even in the darkest night the light is singing your name. You just have to listen. Waheguru,